put money in your pocket. That crypto wallet, that bing bada bing ching ching big profit. Even when the market's sideways, I'm looking for ways to get paid. I'm checking my coins around breakfast, then again around bedtime. Bet this, it's not financial advice, but I'm always right. 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 I'm always right.
What is going on, true believers? Welcome to Bleaves Crypto Show. My name is Bleaves. We're here to talk about this crazy crypto world, and the state of crypto is goddamn. So we're still down. We're still, and by the way, when I say down, we're talking local. Ultimately, long term, we are still incredibly bullish on what's going to happen with cryptocurrency. But for the moment, we have taken another pause as we go through yet another descending channel on our way up, and that leads to people doing all kinds of crazy stuff. That crazy stuff is things like dumping their bags or calling the bull market over and not looking at the data and not developing a proper thesis based upon it. Now, that being said, let's talk about what is going on right now, and we're going to start with the Kobayashi letter because they have some information regarding CPI and PCE. Bank of America raises its gold target to 5,000 an ounce and cites stagflation risk as the driver. Now, what does that mean? So, another night, another $300 billion in market cap for gold. Gold futures right now rising into a record $4,250. Now, what is happening in that regard? Well, what's happening there is the flight away from fiat. People are starting to get nervous about their cash holdings, and that is driving gold higher, and ever higher, up 1.5% today. Not to be outdone, silver also getting ready to reclaim its all-time high yet one more time again. Now, what does that mean for crypto? Well, as we know, the money from these risk assets always rotates. Now, what is the rotation right now? The rotation is the safest of assets. What is the safest of assets in everything? It's the 10-year bond yield. What is number two? Precious metals. So with those being the case, then what can we glean from this? That it's only a matter of time before a massive rotation comes in as profits are made. And by the way, don't forget that continued profits are happening right now on gold. That's why you're not seeing the chart just continues to look really good. The 10-year treasury is still over 4%. Until we get a breakdown on the price of gold, then I would say that we're kind of stuck where we are right now. So Bitcoin, not really ready to take off, not really ready to do anything. We haven't seen a double top. We haven't seen a moment in time where we're even going to get a little sideways action. We thought we were going to experience it about a week ago. We had this double top right here, but it didn't have a real strong, had a bearish divergence, not a very strong one, and it just continued to soar. So now the question is, when do we get into that sideways chop? And when do we get a little bit of a dip? And if you look at gold going back a couple of years, this has been just an incredible run that gold's been on. Every day it seems like it's going up even more. So because it's accelerating right now, we are finding the top faster. Now, when we find that top, there's going to be a crash. That crash on gold from an impulse move on Fibonacci gets you to that 0.45. So in the event that we're near or at or around the top right now, based on Fibonacci, there'll probably be a retest of about 3,800 on gold. When that happens, that's going to be, again, 300 billion went in just a day for this little tiny candle. And that being said, that means that $1 trillion-ish is going to come out of gold at some point, and it's going to start going into other risk assets. So the precious metals, will lead into digital assets. And then, of course, as we establish that digital assets can thus be traded with tokenized securities on exchanges like NASDAQ or even Coinbase, then what does that mean? That means the future of cryptocurrency and digital assets is ever, ever brighter. So if you're looking at the sideways chop and you're not seeing that we're about to explode and go so much higher, then my friends, you are no longer paying attention and you're not being objective. There are a couple reasons right now why we're about to head higher and why we're not heading higher right now. Why is Bitcoin not pumping is the question of the day. For that answer, we turn to Bitcoin and we try to establish what is going on. We've had a huge run. And now we've got these macroeconomic pressures because President Trump has announced a 100% tariff on China, which triggered a broad risk-off sell-off. But that was really, remember how this started. This was not the announcement of the tariffs. This was Wintermute's reaction. And it should be noted that when we talk about Wintermute, one of the things that we never really get to point out appropriately, and perhaps we should, is their close interpersonal and connected relationship with China. Mainland China has a lot of influence and control over Wintermute. So it is entirely possible that the Trump tariff was laid out 100%, and then China decided that it was going to do a crypto dump first. Wintermute then dumped tons and tons and tons of its own crypto, sent out $1 billion, by the way, to Binance before it dumped so that it could buy the dip and scoop this all back up. So don't forget what we're watching, okay? We're watching the profit-taking motive of Wintermute, and then we're watching them layer themselves back in for another leg up. They would not be buying, by the way. They would not have deployed $1 billion of capital in order to buy back a bunch of crypto that's going to go down. Let that sink in while you're developing your own thesis about what's going to happen next. They would not have bought $1 billion worth of crypto for a market that is about to crash. So this created global liquidity drains, by the way. We lost $19 billion in futures deleveraging, which is the largest single day event ever. It wiped out $535 million cash in positions in 24 hours. High open interest and positive funding rates also led to a lot of these margin calls. Remember, this was on a Friday. This was on a Friday expiry. This is where some of those options just do not get triggered because people are looking at the data saying, no way. Also, institutions have slowed down just a little bit over the last couple of days. We were seeing that start to play out. We put the brakes on it for a few days. This is what it looked like. We saw outflows on the Bitcoin ETF. We saw outflows on the Bitcoin ETF. Yesterday, we saw $100 million worth of outflows on the Bitcoin ETF. But let's flip the script and let's stay positive because guess what? Ethereum had another $170 million worth of capital inflows. That's not bear market. That's bull market. Ethereum is getting a chance to shine just a little bit. Now, that doesn't mean that we're not experiencing pain in altcoins. A lot of weaker cryptos or cryptos like, my passion. Today, I got a dev video coming out. Dev is one of my passions, but they don't have any marketing. They have no marketing campaign. So what are they going to do? I mean, where's the positivity in the dev marketing structure? And to be fair, like right now, there really isn't any. And that's what I'm trying to say here. We've got an issue with a lot of these lower tiered projects that they can't keep up with the markets the way that the markets are. Okay. So there it is. Derek Hine says, I thought Bitcoin was a hedge against inflation. No, Bitcoin is what Bitcoin Maxis told you was the hedge against inflation. The hedge against inflation is still and will always be the precious metals like gold and stuff like that. The first big thing was gold. Also 10-year treasury yields. Those are the big two. Those are the flights away. That's where you de-risk yourself. What you're looking for, by the way, remember, a lot of people will talk to you about this, Derek, just like everybody else. about, look at the amount of money you can make on Bitcoin. Nobody knows what you could have made on Bitcoin or what you could make. And people were predicting it that were crazy that ended up being right. That doesn't make them geniuses. That just means that they finally picked the right horse after an entire lifetime of picking the wrong horse. So that's not them becoming a genius. Remember, the flight away from fiat currency still has a path. Treasury yield, risk, precious metals, risk assets, and volatility. Volatility goes down, 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 down until you get to digital assets. Bitcoin is the least risky of them, but it is still a risky asset. Remember, you could be looking at a situation at which not that long ago, in fact, if you were buying Bitcoin right here at 109,000 not that long ago, you had a 32% drawdown in this market. You had a 32% drawdown just like that in this market. That happens constantly because of the volatility of Bitcoin. And from the last impulse move all the way up to the top. In fact, if we take that move right here and we go up to the top on this one, then we're talking about a 70% pump, right? But what about the dump off of the top right now? We're down 17% right now from that. That's again, that is from Wintermute, but that's the type of volatility that big money shies away from. Bitcoin still is maturing, but has not completely matured. And that makes it very difficult. It really is very difficult to do it this way. So it's not a big deal. We're going to be just fine. And Bitcoin is going to surge ever so higher. Now, what we did see, by the way, is looking at the markets right now, the American market is doing what can only be described as gay shit. The last 2 hours, what is happening here, all the profits, all of the positivity, all of the goodness that came out of the market in the overseas has now been eaten up as we made our way up, 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 up and away. The U.S. market is backstabbing each other and doing what can only be described as U.S. bullshit and selling off deeply. Again, we were up to 3.76 trillion. So we were up $70 billion on the day so far at one point. And now we are down $8 billion on the day. USA, USA, USA. And what's causing that sort of sell-off? What's causing all that? It's the uncertainty of the tariffs that are happening right now. And the flight away from risky assets into less risky assets is a normal cycle of business. If we look at these charts, we see it constantly. We see it all the time. It's only a matter of time, though, until a big time reversal happens. Okay. So I'm not really concerned. I'm not really worried about it. In fact, if we look at it from this context and we we zoom out and we start to use our thinking brain, then guess what? We're in this channel. We broke down below the channel, which was, we didn't want to see that. We didn't want to see the breakout, but guess what? We came right back into this channel, which means that despite the fact that we had that crazy dump, our thesis is still maintained because naturally speaking, we already had this channel right here. We already had this downward momentum. We were already in this consolidation pennant flag play out. We were already here, which meant that we were probably going to head a little bit higher. Because every time that happens, what happens? We go a little bit higher. We get one right here. We go a little bit higher. We get one right here. It takes a little bit longer. We get a false breakout, and then we do it again. And then boom, we go a little bit higher. We get a breakout right here. We go down into the falling wedge and we go a little bit higher. Eventually, it's going higher. We're still in a bullish market. So it's going to continue moving to the upside. This was just an anomaly. An anomalous breakdown from Wintermute. What we're going to see most likely is, let's play the chart out. And, to be fair, if we look at it from that long term and we take our bars pattern tool and say from the bottom to the top, top to the bottom. Is that Lincoln Park? Jesus Christ, if we look at that. Okay, so that's what's happening right now in the market. We're just moving what happened before back over to kind of show you where the market is headed. Now we look at it from that context and we see the most likely scenario is some moves back to the upside. But what if we're talking about where it actually breaks out? What would that look like? Well, we take the same pattern and we do this from the dip to the rip, and then boom, right there. And now let's apply that to where we are right now. And look at this. We're just headed so much higher. The whole thing is just playing out that way. So we'll be at 5 trillion market cap in crypto in very short order. Now, what is the big thing that's holding everything up? Number one, government shutdown. Number two, Clarity Act. Those are the two things, the two most important things right now that are preventing the markets from pumping. And it's not about cryptocurrency with the government shutdown. It's about everything else for the government shutdown. It's about all of those things affecting people's ability to throw a few bucks into crypto. They're holding on to their paychecks a little bit longer. People are nervous because the government is not functioning. The government's not functioning because fighting is easier. So you don't have to do anything. And by the way, we're getting a massive sell-off at one moment right now. We're down 22 billion. Again, we were just sitting here up $70 billion, and the U.S. market is still doing what can only be described as U.S. market bullshit. We're down 18 billion now. It's pretty volatile, but Dow Jones is up. So ultimately, are we bullish? Are we bearish? We're bullish. Okay. Then we look at money flow and we look at capital inflow, and we still see money supply going up. So are we bearish or are we bullish? We're bullish. It's very, very simple. Okay. It's very simple. As long as the money is still being printed and minted, then we're going to go up. It's just taking a little bit longer because we had Wintermute do this. And by the way, the question you might be asking yourself, well, if Wintermute sold off and then bought everything back up, then why would this even be a problem? And it's not about Wintermute doing the sell-off. It's about everybody getting scared from that happening. It's about the realization that you're not actually in control. It's about the fact that somebody, a massive whale, controlled the market and we couldn't do anything about it. That's what it's really about. So that is going to take a little bit of time to sort itself out. But ultimately, we're going to be just fine. I mean, we really are going to be just fine. We're about to head up so much more. This was that moment right now. This is that clearinghouse moment. Now, it is upon the Trump administration to do something, anything, to reverse course. And what we've seen from the Trump administration is they will do dumb stuff just to distract from what they don't want you to see. If there's bad jobs data, we're firing somebody until they're willing to lie about the data being good. They will do whatever they can to make the glorious leader look good. And that works out to our advantage. So don't dismiss it. Don't trust it. If you do, you're in a cult. Don't trust it, but at least acknowledge that it's going to help us tremendously. Biden lied to all. Well, Maddie, it wasn't a competition, but every politician is a liar. Every politician is deceptive. Every politician is out to steal from you in some way. Maybe they didn't start out that way, but they end up that way. So who gives a shit whether it was Biden or Trump? They're both liars. So I don't give a shit what party you're in. Your party is a bunch of liars. Fuck are we doing? Anyway, so let's talk about some of the news that's going on. Arthur Hayes now says that he thinks that Ethereum is going to 2.5x by December, and Bitmine has added 417 million to its treasury. Arthur Hayes reaffirms his $10,000 Ethereum price target, predicting ETH could 2.5x before the year end. I disagree with him wholeheartedly on this one. Institutional accumulation hits record highs as ETF and treasuries now hold 10% of the total ETH supply, which changes my mind at least a little bit on it. Remember, I told you 6,000. I'm not in the 7,000 to 8,000 bullish sentiment club right now. I'm just not. But it's a little high for my, this is like Snoop Dogg high. You know what I mean? From where I think. But in a recent appearance at the Bankless podcast, Arthur Hayes, co-founder of BitMEX, reiterated his belief that Ethereum is far from reaching its peak this cycle. He said he remains committed to his 10,000 target This describes the recent price volatility as mere background noise within a broader bullish uptrend. Now, you can make that argument, by the way. You can make that argument. But again, where does that money come from? That money has to come from Bitcoin. It's not just coming from everything else. Honda Game says, I think Fetch AI will bounce back. No, it's not. It's not the play anymore. As a matter of fact, it's actually very, very simple. You go to AI right now. The AI is BitTensor. BitTensor is the Tau token has now taken over AI. When AI pops, and it will pop, and it's tied into cryptocurrency, and it will be tied into cryptocurrency. When all of those things happen, and by the way, you're getting a 2 and 3% sell-off right now in the market because USA, fucking USA. But you're getting this big sell-off. BitTensor, 4 billion market cap. The closest competitor, 2.9 billion market cap. Near Protocol. What 2 cryptos do I tell you to have? What 3 cryptos do I tell you to have? Well, BitTensor is kind of a new one, but what do I tell you to have? Dev and Near Protocol. Those are the 2 that you should have a bunch of. Those are the 2 fastest blockchains on the planet right now, and you should take advantage of that opportunity. Also, BitTensor, again, has so many different subnets for AI software and stuff like that, today, as a matter of fact, there was an announcement of another big, I think it was Yuma that made the announcement. I think it was the Yuma protocol. Yuma. I don't know if it was Yuma or it wasn't Yanez, because I think I did Yanez. Yeah, okay, so Yuma. And they've got let's see, Yuma Group. They made an announcement here. There we go. The AIQ fund from CT Innovate investing with Yuma Asset Management marks a major milestone for the next chapter of BitTensor Tau. We're bridging institutional capital and empowering investors to participate in decentralized AI. So they've got a huge investment from another aggressive fund, a strategic capital fund, and BitTensor just continues to grow. These subnets are going to have just massive. This is going to be a crazy. Okay. Huge congrats to Yuma and Connecticut Innovations. Excited to see decentralized AI momentum growing. By the way, guys, don't forget, you've got, when you talk about Grok, you talk about Open AI, you talk about Chat GPT, you talk about Gemini. What is it? Is it Google Gemini? When you talk about all these different AIs, the one thing that they have in common is they're not decentralized. They are centralized with a core hive mind, and they're parsing their data through legacy media or through X or through some kind of system, right? BitTensor is a decentralized AI, which means that you won't have what you have right now, which is where the top people like the Sam Bankman-Fried or the Sam Bankman-Fried Altman, where Sam Altman or where Mark Zuckerberg or where Jeff Bezos or where Elon Musk are in charge of exactly what happens next. So there you go. And Honda Game says Fetch AI is decentralized too. I know that it is because it's down here at the bottom of this list. It's number 87 overall, and it's down to a 685 million market cap. There is some attention to it, and there will be some attention to it. And up until maybe 2 months ago, I would have told you that Fetch AI was my favorite AI protocol, or at least in my top 3, along with Render, which was also up there. And by the way, Near Protocol wasn't on my radar either. It was the Graph, GRT. Those 3 I thought were going to be the big things in AI, and they have just been lapped. They have been lapped by 2 blockchains in BitTensor and Near Protocol that are just absolutely breaking out. So these guys are doing a great job, and we should ride that wave up. It is my estimation that BitTensor at this point could be a $40 billion market cap. And I don't mean to say that it's going to end up being the number 1 protocol. It is the number one protocol right now. And as the number one AI protocol, when AI pops off, then you're going to talk about at least a 40 billion market cap, maybe 50 billion, maybe way higher. I don't know for sure. It's AI. AI is not as hot as it could be in crypto right now. You can see that, by the way, from this market. This market has been brutal. Near protocol down 52%. BitTensor only down 10%. Story up 100%. ICP down 66. Render down 62. This is year to date, by the way. Okay. We've not done good in AI right now. We've done horrible in AI from a digital asset standpoint. But guess what? That won't hold forever. And when it does, when these things break out, who's going to break out the bigliest? The bigliest is going to be BitTensor. It's the one that will end up being that's the breakout candidate right now. So there we go. What cycle? We are a year past the cycle and it's only getting worse. Well, that's if you're a shitty investor, you're absolutely right. If you're a shitty investor, that's your case. Best case that you can make. And here we are right here. If you bought a bunch of Bitcoin and you held on to a bunch of Bitcoin, then you're not saying that. You're saying this is the greatest and most glorious bull run that we've ever had. Now, if you risked all of your stuff on altcoins and meme coins and shit like that, if you bought garbage and you got a garbage result, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. There should be an altcoin season. I'm hoping for an altcoin season. But also, let me point out, if you're buying tops and if you're buying a top, you're just becoming a bottom. You know what I mean? Ethereum, I mean, how are we not in a bull run? Ethereum, just a little while ago, in April, was at 1,397. It went to almost 5,000. How are we not in a bull run? That's an easy 4x on Ethereum. If you were buying the dips, you're experiencing it. Ethereum just hit a new all-time high. How are we not talking about it? How are we saying there's no bull run? It's at an all-time high. Solana was just at an all-time high, and it retested $250 just a little while ago after coming down, by the way, was down here at $98. Do I need to say that it was at $8 not long ago? How are we not in a bull run? Look, the reason that you're not in a bull run is because you made bad selections. And by the way, I'm not saying that your selections were better than mine, because I've made money, but I haven't made tens of millions of dollars. So, I mean, we're all missing some of these things. We're all missing some of them. However, we are definitely in a bull run. And what you're looking for is a banana zone, and you're looking for that altcoin breakout. And I'm sorry that we don't have that breakout. I would have thought, and I have thought, that we should be there over and over and over again right now. However, the one thing that's holding everything back is the Clarity Act. Donald Trump, again, let me go back and let me start here on Friday. Donald Trump makes a post about China with 100% tariff threat, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Does the market dump? No, it does not. It doesn't dump until hours later. And when hours later hits, then it turns out that it's really just Wintermute flushing everything, most likely under the direction of mainland China. Do we know that to be the case? I do not know that to be the case, but I sure can smell a rat when I see the rat taking a shit on crypto. So I'm pretty sure that was just a kind of a demonstration from Wintermute of what they could do to the market, just to remind Donald Trump. In fact, if they wanted to remind him what they could do, they could not have picked a better moment to do it, because guess what? That means that they held a bunch of Trump token too. Wintermute was holding on to a bunch of Trump tokens. Could you imagine that? That's unbelievable. As the world's biggest market maker, it is crazy to think the power that they currently have. And that dumped his price down to $1.50. I mean, it is absolutely crazy what is going on. And by the way, don't forget, crypto right now is PvP, which means that you are fighting everybody else. And if you're fighting everybody else and you're not winning, that does mean they are winning. And that means reverse your strategy. Stop doing whatever you think. By the way, I'm going to tell you something right now that I think is true. I think everybody has an intuition for something. All right. Sometimes you have a little voice in your head that tells you, go ahead and do it. Go do it. Do it. Or don't do it. Don't do it. Now, if that voice in your head always tells you to do it and it always goes wrong for you, guess what? You can't understand your own brain. Your brain's not telling you do it. Your brain is telling you don't fucking do it. So if it feels like you should do it and it always works out poorly, that's actually your mind telling you you shouldn't do it. That's your intuition kicking in, and you just don't understand how to read the sign of your own intuition. Okay. So if your intuition says don't, and every time you don't, you miss, that's your intuition, and you're not paying attention to the right signal. When it feels like don't, that actually means do. When it feels like do, that actually means don't. You have to rewire your brain to respond to the stimulus that you're getting from your intuition. And I believe that about everybody. Okay. It's the way it works. How legit, had a bad streak, was doing the wrong thing for a while. Then I flipped and started doing the opposite of what I was thinking. And I was still wrong for a short while, but not always. I mean, you're going to be wrong. Sometimes you're just going to get it wrong. But if more often your intuition is reversed, like if it's telling you to do it and it doesn't happen, your intuition is telling you most likely that you shouldn't do it, because your intuition is going to be look, your intuition is going to be pretty good. Everybody's intuition is pretty good. We just don't understand how to read it. That's all. That is exactly how it is. And by the way, just because you switch doesn't mean it's going to work every time. Just means it's going to work more often than not. And do you know what you have to be a successful trader, by the way? Right 51% of the time. That's it. You only have to be right 51% of the time. So just to give you an idea here, if you are right more than you're wrong, and you start with $100, at the end of it, you'll have $101 because you were right one more time than you were wrong. If it was $1 million, you'll have 1,010,000 or 1,100,000. You're going to have more because you're right more often than you're wrong. All you have to do is be very careful with what you do and gauge your risk. If you're going to put more risk into your game, make that risk Bitcoin. If you're going to put less risk, make it a meme coin. Just go down the list and decide. If you want guaranteed returns, 10-year bond yield, 10-year treasuries. If you want most likely big time returns, gold. Even at 42.50 right now, gold probably going to print all the way up to 5,000. You know what I mean? Listen to your intuition. If in your history, if your intuition is always wrong, it's not. Your intuition is right. You're just misunderstanding what it's telling you. That's all. Just work on you, work on yourself, work on figuring out what your wiring says. It's pretty simple. It really is. And it takes a while. It does take it takes a while because it's just a natural thing. Let's move on here. Will Coinbase list more Binance chain projects as CZ urges exchange to be more open? Yeah, as a matter of fact, this is the problem with this, by the way, is not CZ, despite that, I have my own problems with CZ being a criminal and all that kind of, goofy stuff. But Coinbase is finally listing BNB, which is crazy. The reason that it did not do that before, even though this is why I have media distrust issues. This is bullshit. Okay. Coinbase is listing it because Coinbase wants to make money. And the reason that they didn't list it before is because of the legal processes that were going on in the United States and because of the lack of clarity and the fact that the United States only allows certain cryptos and that they give people grief about listing certain cryptos. And they especially ones that are under investigation, like BNB and Binance and CZ, everybody they have to comply with the US government. Well, it's a much friendlier US government. So this has nothing to do with CZ and has everything to do with a more open and more warm and welcoming environment for cryptocurrency in the United States. So this is an article that's very misleading, but it's a good start. Even though it's misleading, it's still a very, very good thing to see it happen. By the way, I don't think that Coinbase is going to take a loss because, again, Coinbase is a bunch of grifters. They're as bad as Binance to me. Now, Trump insider whale opens $127 million short on Bitcoin ahead of Trump's big announcement. Is another crypto crash ahead? So, Trump insider whale has returned with another massive short position on Bitcoin. The move comes just hours before President's crypto-related announcement, which is scheduled for today. So, the trader, nicknamed Trump Insider Whale, made headlines last week after reportedly shorting $735 million of Bitcoin 30 minutes before the U.S. president unveiled a 100% tariff on Chinese imports. That announcement sent Bitcoin plunging, no, it did not, to around 104,000 and wiping out more than $670 billion from the global crypto market. In a new development, the whale has expanded its Bitcoin short to 127 million. This move has fueled speculation that another major crypto crash could be on the horizon. So they are now looking at 3 p.m. today Eastern time is when Trump is going to have some kind of White House press pool to make an announcement. I don't know what the announcement is. 2 days earlier, Trump insider whale increased his short exposure to 485 million, reportedly sitting on 22 million in unrealized gains before scaling the bet even higher. The timing of the trade comes as President Trump is set to deliver a big crypto announcement later today, and markets are bracing for volatility. So, analysts say the direction of the market could hinge on Trump's tone. A tougher stance on trade could reignite risk aversion. Pro-Bitcoin or regulatory clarity might trigger a relief rally, and hence a fiscal stimulus could lift overall risk sentiment. So we could be seeing a whole lot of different stuff happening, but we don't know what it's going to be until 2 p.m. today. And then finally, Bitcoin options puts exceed 1.15 billion as negative bias jumps to October 11 crypto market crash level. So the number of puts is now at 1.15 billion, which means that we've got bears that are betting on the market. And what happens when the bears are going deep? What happens? The market reverses and it goes the other way. It is the nature of these markets that shit like that happens. So I would suspect that if we know what's getting ready to happen, we know exactly what's going on. That's not what's going on. That's not what's going to happen. We should at least have learned that by now. So we'll see what happens, but I get a sense here and a feeling that we're about to see a big, big pump, and we're about to see some people get absolutely annihilated. And look, here's the funny thing. That Trump insider whale who's taking that position right now, I bet they cash out. I bet we're watching the FOMO build right now. And I think that they're trying to scare people out with money. But if we had CZ, Justin Sun, if we actually had people with balls that were leading these exchanges, that were whales, that were leading this charge, they would be scaling up like madmen right now to liquidate whoever this bitch is. I mean, that's what would be happening. That's what they should be doing. Remember, they were doing that a few months ago. Remember, Justin Sun was in that whale pool, and he was leading the charge to try to liquidate James Wynn every single time that James Wynn threw out that short. Remember that. When it was James Wynn, they were hunting liquidity. When it's somebody in the Trump campaign, suddenly they don't have time for it. What kind of bullshit is that? By the way, I'm a little bit loud here. I think I'm going to turn the volume down just a tiny bit. All right, bull market peak indicators. We got nothing triggered right now. Remember the channel, terracasino.io for all your risk-based gaming needs, terraport.finance to buy unique utility and meme coins in the Terra Classic ecosystem, including the Believe token. You want some. All right, so Meme Link, go buy yourself some Meme Link. Meme Link actually up about 30% on the day, 32% right now. We'll talk about that in just a moment, but get yourself a bag of Meme Link. Something that Pablo said just the other day, he's like, another day, I need 100X or something like that. He was like, I need 1,000X. I'm tired of 100Xs, which is right here. I need 1,000X, tired of my projects only doing 100X. 100X is bearish, and it's MK and Crow Show. I don't know where Crow Show is right now. MK found a floor at 500K. Crow Show found a floor at 400K. Let's come back to this tweet in 12 months. Rock, remind me in 365 days. Let's see how that does. I'm not sure how it will do, but most of the money supposed to be, for those of you that don't know, right now would be a perfect time for you to accumulate some MK. because I think that the profits from the Crow Show are being funneled back over, and that's why you're getting a pump on MK right now. And that was the idea, I believe, all along. So if you have an opportunity, I would get yourself a bag of MK just in case. Also, dev ecosystem, I have a new dev video that's out. I'm bot made because I'm down other than Lunk. I'm mad because of the lack of alt season. We're all mad because of it. I mean, we're all annoyed by the fact that they've not done it. But again, it's the Clarity Act. I'm telling you right now, everything that's not happening right now is not happening because we don't have the Clarity Act. If we had the Clarity Act, we would have clarity in crypto and we would know the rails. What we need, what institutions need, what they require are guardrails so that we know exactly what's going on or what's legal and what's not legal. We need those rails in place. That's the problem. And that's what we do not have right now. So with that being the case, then we have to come up with, there has to be, we have to get some clarity, clarity in our act. Oh shit, that's not right. I want to change this real quick. Boom. How's that look? Do I look spooky ooky? Do I look spooky ooky? Ooh. You like how I got the pink on one side and the pink? I could do blue over here too, by the way. Woo, baby. Anyway, so we're all mad about that. We're all feeling the same way. We're like, God damn it. You know what I mean? Fear and greed index, 28. Guys, this was your opportunity. Okay. Go long on Bitcoin. Do it now. Get to the chopper. Do it now. This is your moment. This is your wake-up call. This is your opportunity. You want to make a little bit of money right now? To me, this is almost a no-brainer. Go ahead and take yourself some risk on Bitcoin. Buy yourself some Bitcoin. Get yourself some Bitcoin. Make sure you have Bitcoin. Do it for the love of the goddamn game at this point. Get yourself some Bitcoin. Ride it up to 70. Take your profit when we get to 70. Okay, just buy Bitcoin on spot. Do it right now. Get ready for the next move. If it's a 10% move, you made 10% profit off of it. If it's a 20% move, you made 20% profit. If you put 1,000 in, that's either $100 or $200. If it goes up 30%, if it goes up to, what is it, 134? That was the number that I gave you guys. Oh, look at this. Son of a bitch. The market's exploding right now. Duh. The next surge to from where we are right now to here is 21%. 21% gain. If you have 10,000, that's 2,000. If you have 100,000, that's 20,000. If you have $100, that's $20. It's more money than you had before. So get yourself more money, dum. God damn it. I shouldn't have to tell you this shit. I shouldn't have to tell you this. Anyway, I should have to tell you because you'd be a bad person if you didn't. I wonder why this one doesn't pop here. Oh, there it is. Here we go. Anyway, I'm going to work on the lighting. I got this thing all fucked up, man. I can't do this. Can't do that shit. There we go. Anyway. There. All right. So it's very simple. It really is. It's very, very simple. So simple that even a moron can do it. So all you need to know right now is Bitcoin go up. Once Bitcoin go up enough, we're going to have an absolute breakout. Right now, it is an emergency call. Buy yourself some Bitcoin. Get in. Get set because this is going to be a nice little run right now. I don't think that there's really any chance that we're going down any further. I think that Wintermute absolutely just threw it at us. Okay, I think Wintermute did their thing, and I think that it is now a little bit more shakeout, maybe a little bit more sideways action, but I think that we're going to absolutely break, and we're going to start to see some real big movement. So that's the show. Thank you so much for tuning in. It's not financial advice. I'm always right. I appreciate you guys, and we'll see you guys. They call me Blink.